That deepest pothole you hit yesterday, the one that felt like your suspension punched straight through the hood, might matter more than the road's average smoothness. Control engineers have actually been sneaking this logic into a car's life-saving code for years. They just don't call it a cursed pothole. They call it the H-infinity norm. What that norm does is brutally straightforward. It obsesses over the worst case where the system could fall apart. Like a merciless interviewer, it doesn't care how steady you are on normal roads. It just keeps asking the same question: can you survive when everything goes to hell? Now you're probably thinking, a car can't predict the future. How does it know how bad can get? Exactly. Your vehicle's weight shifts, the shock absorbers quietly degrade day by day, even the tiny slips where the rubber hits the road, these are not constants. They're a pack of restless uncertainties. A paper in the Journal of Control, Automation and Electrical Systems points out in section 1.1 that a car's parameters drift wildly with load, road conditions, and wear. Once they drift enough, your beautiful ideal model is about as useful as scrap paper. If you tune the suspension stiffness using the average road, you'd basically be picking watermelons by the average score. You'll eventually crack a tooth on a rotten one. Designers solve this in a slightly counterintuitive way. They take every uncertain parameter and box it straight into an interval, keeping only the minimum and maximum. That's quick. But it also tends to treat linked changes as if they were independent events. The result? You get a chassis logic that's dyingly conservative, stiff, and terrified of making a mistake. So these researchers built a hybrid system framework that crunches the continuous bouncing and the discrete sampling as one big story. Think of it like this: they stopped analyzing snapshots of the road and started watching how the car staggers and tumbles from one pothole into the next. Sounds elegant. The price behind it is a pile of computable matrix inequalities called LMIs. Human translation: make the computer only pick solutions that are mathematically incapable of lying. The real world then splits into two paths. One is the interval method, fast, handy when you can't afford a ton of computing power. The other is the polytopic method. It burns through computing power, but the result is less conservative. Finally, the suspension is allowed to soften up just a little, without the body shaking itself to pieces. So next time you slam into a pothole that makes you want to report the city, maybe spare a thought. Chassis designers assumed that kind of vicious impact was inevitable from the start. They even built an entire controller that aces the unexpected by attacking from both ends, the worst possible input and the worst possible parameter combination. They never trusted averages. You can't dodge it, and they never tried to. But here's the question: when the control system always gives its all to the nastiest pothole, is your daily cruising comfort actually being protected, or is it being held hostage by its own overalert assumptions?